It's so good to see you all here in Istanbul and digitally. Berna, Aisha, and the whole Perion team, you have done a tremendous job. And so has indeed also the Secretariat. Those of you who, for different reasons, stay at home, so good to see you too. I have been told, 17 voting members in the room, and 30 out of 34 members are present. That is really, really good. First of all, colleagues from the CIPD and members of the CIPD, please accept our condolences for the loss of your beloved Queen. I don't know any European country that are more royalistic than you are. And I do not know that, I don't know any other region or head of state that has turned so much into an institution as she had. Not only for you, but for everyone around. So an era is over and a new one has begun. This meeting is the first time we meet physically since 2019. You remember, before COVID. We had COVID and we are now facing crisis in Ukraine and consequences following Ukraine. We are indeed facing a cold winter, and when I say cold, I mean cold in more than one understanding of the word. I usually say that there is something good in everything, and it is, but sometimes it's very difficult to see. Ukraine war is a war for territory and people. And then why has it gathered so much support? It's of course because of the overarching concept of defending territory and people, but it's also, I think, from many European countries, who's next in line. That is the more self-centered one. It's the idea that if you have a bully in the schoolyard, he should not be allowed to keep on. But I also think it has to do with deeper values, and that makes it directly relevant, if not for other reasons, to HR. We're talking about values that are core of what we do, core of culture. We talk about values which create tangible values, which are good for business, but they are also indeed good for workplaces and good for society. Later today, our HR colleague Katarina from HR Pro in Ukraine, she will join us. I spoke to her yesterday and she suggested, as I have written in the WhatsApp group, that we should send her some questions, preferably in advance, so that she can prepare for those. So if you have questions for Katarina, short session, 50 minutes or so, please just forward it to me. I tend to be positive. I hope that I'm able in most situations to be positive, but I must say that when I look around, I'm deeply worried what's happening around us. I see discouragement. That is understandable. We have for a long time talked about lost generation. We are seeing inflation, wage freeze, and some places also, we must say that, exploitation. What might be good in this is that employees, they vote with their feet. They leave companies which are not delivering on their expectations. That's the positive side, that we had a historical low unemployment on world level. Companies, they who are not able to cope with these challenges, they see the great resignation, they see walkout, silent quitting, less belonging, all of these things. Societies, if they are not able to cope with it, they will have social unrest, lack of trust, and lower welfare. We see populistic leaders arise from this, totalitarian traits, easy solutions to complex problems, everywhere, even in so-called liberal democracies. I sense a smell of the 1930s here. So at a company level, that's where we very much start, and that is where we must do a difference. If we are not investing in people, those companies will not prosper, individuals will not have good workplaces, and the social contract will collapse. if we are struggling with the economy or for other reasons, of course there is what Castro once called perioder especial. You must just cope with this situation. Compare this with swimming. If you swim 50 meters, I have been told that you can do that without problems, without breathing. But if you are swimming 1,000 meters, not breathing is a very bad strategy. We need to reskill, we need to upskill, we have to invest in leadership. We have to explore new organizational models, ecosystems, and we need to get rid of shackles from Taylor and industrial revolutions. Shackles which are, the whole concept of control instead of trust is deeply embedded in how many think, act, organize, and how organizations work. If not, we are able to do that, we will not be able to be employer of choice. People will walk out silently and companies will die. The positive side of companies dying is that it makes space for other ones, better ones, more prosperous ones. And somehow, again, there's something good about this social darkness. Why do we meet here? First of all, it's a formal necessity, because statutes tell us to do so and make it mandatory. That's a good reason by itself. We have to sign off what is behind us, but even more important maybe, it's about establishing a joint platform for what comes ahead. I would also say that one of the reasons we meet is to meet. It's to build and nurture a network. It is so much easier to reach out to another colleague if you have been together with him or her physically. To get input, confirmation and inspiration, and to get motivation for further work. The challenges we are going to address in this meeting are substantial. We are going to also have the sensibility that those challenges you are facing at home are the same. Not all national associations prosper. Some really struggle. And 2023 might be even more challenging. So much said, I think we all can twist these to opportunities. When it comes to COVID and the COVID crisis, that gave us digitalization, more flexible working day, family-friendly politics, and less commuting, just to mention something. When it comes to Ukraine, if we are going to look forward and see if there is something positive in it, it might spur a green shift, the energy crisis. It might mobilize values, and it might stop larger countries to bully the smaller ones. At this meeting, we will address statutes as one thing. Substantial work has been done on that. So my hope is that we finish, close, and build on that for the future. It's integrated whole, which is also partly integrated with financial models. We have a situation where the EAPM has a non-sustainable financial model. We use more than we get in. Quite broadly, I could say that we are three sources of resourcing the EAPM. Number one is by financial means. It's the membership fee, and we have bonds. As we know, bonds go up, and for many years we thought that was the only alternative. But for the future, we must also consider the risk of bonds going down. That is number one, 70K-ish. Then we have voluntary work. I believe that the value of the voluntary work today is bigger than the membership fee. Board, auditors, working groups, all of us. And then we have members chipping in, covering direct costs. And a rough estimate is that that element also now has risen to a level which is higher than the membership fee. For many years, we had a conference which we earned some money on. We haven't done that for a decade or so. And we have also had a strategy, a successful such one, to expand to new countries. But we are running out of countries to expand to. There are not that many countries in Europe. So I think that there are three ways we can go forward. It's stronger and new income streams, that is number one. Secondly, we can and we do cut costs. We have done substantial cost cuts the last years. And we get more out of the same or less. And third, we need to look at the membership fee. If not, we are looking at the membership fee. We will have, around next corner, have to reduce activities and ambitions. The membership fee was last time adjusted sometime in the 90s. That means that if we were just adjusting the membership fee to today based on inflation, it will be doubled overnight, more than doubled. Yes, we have some reserves, but with inflation between 7 and 12%, those reserves will soon be gone. And we have financial papers, but as I mentioned earlier, they don't always go up, they can also go down. We will have to choose between a hard and a soft landing, crash landing or starting to adjust now. So my strong recommendation is that we do not put our heads collectively into the sand, but at the same time acknowledge that we are also struggling at the national level. I hope that we will get the backing for overall priorities. And last but not least, let's build on our strengths. We are larger and more representative. That has opened up for EU working group. We have some great successes, surveys which are leading, world leading. And I would also especially like to mention International HR Day. As a small child, it was born in 2017. First time it was arranged, it was 2018. Then there were 7 countries participating, 7 countries. Last year, we had 34 countries participating, and there were more than 8 million mentions. 8 million mentions on social media. That is huge. It's going like this. Built on our strengths, and I think International HR Day is something to follow. We have communities of practice, regional clusters, clusters of interest, webinars, best practice, and so on. And then when it goes on the latter one, digitalization makes things so much easier. Again, thank you, COVID, for that. We have a tight schedule, but we have also put aside substantial time for interaction. And those of you who are joining digitally, you will also be, of course, integrated into that. So we will start now. So, I mean, in a European way, I have to choose. I can either say, take it away, Aisha, or I could say, you're good to go.